ZEPP Health stock is certainly priced just as a manufacturing company of wearables, or maybe even less than that, I would argue. However, is there even a software and software margin aspect to it? And what could ZEPP Health actually do with health data, with different services in the area of employers or other initiatives where people use the data that is being tracked by those wearables and actually build value on top of that. This is the topic that I'll be discussing with the CFO of ZEPP Health, Leon Dang, in this video. As a reminder, this is a part of a longer video with the CFO of ZEPP Health. I will be gradually posting each of the pieces of the video, but if you want to access it today, the full 1 hour and 20 minutes, then you can also support this channel, which helps us to stay independent, by the way, and support our work. But you will also, as a patron for the 10 USD tier, get an invite link into the patron community where we chat daily, where we share information and also exclusive content such as that, or early access in that case. But now enjoy this part of the video. Please subscribe to the channel and hit a like, and so you stay updated on topics like that and other things related to Chinese stocks. And now enjoy this bit of the interview.
Here, December or November, I think I told, we also did the announcement, is that the Chinese government and the US SEC has agreed a deal, and then they are able to supervise or look into the records of the Chinese accounting companies, etc., etc. So starting from the last year, that risk is gone, and I think the most recent news just a few weeks ago is that because they do this type of visit every year, and they have to give that comment on a yearly basis. So I think this year, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, the SEC did the check for this year, and also there was no issue identified. So the listing risk at this moment in time, I think, should be off for not only us, but also for all the Chinese companies listed in the US.
All right,
so
great.
I think that's definitely is not a concern. No.
Mm-hmm. Good. Right. So I want to take a couple more minutes to kind of grill you with a couple of more questions that are mainly coming from my Patreon community and a couple of social media boards that I see out there, and then kind of wrap things up with looking also a little bit into the future, because I mean, we have to say the current financials, they are largely as ZEPP Health as a manufacturing company of wearables, right? But I think also for an investing case, it's quite interesting, where this whole industry is headed and how ZEPP Health is actually positioned in the, this entire mega trend of healthcare, and I think also now AI. So these are a couple of topics that I think we can look into. I think you just mentioned before also the applications that you're working on for example, ChatGPT integration in wearables, where you see yourself at the front lines. But the question that I'm having here as an outsider, and not knowing exactly all of the things that you're working on, how much of that is really your own development stuff that is really backed up with ingenuity, patents, innovation, algorithms, something that you can play because you're a vertically integrated company, because you now have at this CTO position, you have a team working around software. How much is coming from that side, or how much we have to think of is rather, let's say, integrating an API call of another provider, let's say, is it ChatGPT or another provider? Help us think around this. If I mean, you're not a tech person, but as far as you can comment on that, how much is ZEPP Health really doing on its own in this topic, and how much is it rather a must-have right now in this industry because everybody is kind of doing it?
Yeah, so good question, Marcel. Yeah. So a few sets. So number one, we have the ZEPP OS, right? And ZEPP OS, it's a proprietary OS, which is built on FreeRTOS and is actually patented everywhere. So because it's called ZEPP OS. Okay? So this is our software backbone to integrate with our hardware. Right? So I think that is one of the unique selling points of us. And then we also disclosed in our Q3 result that we also hired hackers, developers to actually enrich the ecosystem of ZEPP OS as we go. So unlike the white labeled guys, I mean, if you just go take something off the shelf, I mean, you are not able to have that ecosystem, the functionalities, apps, etc., like what you get from our ZEPP Amazfit watches, right? On the hardware part, I think majority of the things which we do, both from algorithms to the chips to the sensing capabilities, which I said, I think almost all of that is proprietary and patented, right? So that actually distinguish us with the majority of the smartwatches off the shelf guys. So for example, even Xiaomi watch, they source the algorithms from us, right? So I think that is and to give you a sense, the company has always been a R&D driven company, right? So if you look at how much we invest in R&D relative to our size and also in absolute amount, it's actually quite heavy. So basically, we spend more in R&D than on marketing, which you probably should, I mean, compare with other peers or other companies. You'll probably say, yeah, you should do the opposite. No.
However, that might now also be a concern because you have also shrunk the R&D costs, right? So might the question be like, how sustainable is that going forward?
In absolute amount, yes, but not as a percentage of sales. So if you look at as a percentage of sales, our R&D spend is still at 12, 13% of total revenue. This is still among the highest against our Chinese peers or our industry peers. So no, but there's also productivity gains out of R&D. So I give you one example, then to help you understand better. In the past, if you have 20 watches, for example, then every watch, because you source different components, for example, the screen size is different, the NFC chip is different because you have to cover different price range or whatever, like us, because we are a pure player on making smartwatches. So in the past, if I have to do 20 watches, then I have 20 different team of software engineers to tune the software capabilities because our product is a smart product. It comes with software and hardware, and you have to actually integrate the two, right? Then I have to have 20 teams doing more or less the same things for those 20 products. And now with ZEPP OS, because it's one single software operating system and one system which works with the trusted or certified suppliers, which we take our components from, you only have to do one software team whereby, okay, different products, it have to be segregated by different OS versions to do that job. So naturally, because of the ZEPP OS, the platforming approach, you can increase the productivity of the R&D investment big time. Okay, so I think platforming helps us a lot in squeeze out the inefficiencies out of R&D expenses in absolute amount. On the other hand, the application of ChatGPT into coding and doing, for example, customer care, translation, etc., also help us to improve the productivity. And as I said, we're one of the first companies to adopt that, not only in the customer-facing functionalities, but also in our R&D upstream development processes big time, which also improves on the productivity. So in essence, number one, you can use less people to do more work and more efficiently. Right?
Okay.
Number two, you have the platforming approach, which can do much more. So I think that's covers on the R&D part to a large extent. I'm not sure if that addressed some of your concerns.
No, that's clear. What I'm trying to understand is so I see those efficiencies happening, and that's great. The point that I'm trying to get to is, for example, with the implementation, let's say, of ChatGPT features, I do see how this is creating value for consumers at some point, right? But what I would like to understand also from an investment perspective, and also where the company is headed in the future, is like, how much abilities are you, like, where's the value creation happening? How much abilities are you in the company itself building up in order to make sense of, for example, the data that you're getting? Or is it just going, is this just a prompt going to ChatGPT and then, you spin it back and you have integrated into your software? Or because you are at the pool really of lots of, health-related data that is interesting and so on.
Correct.
What initiatives are going on at ZEPP strategically to make use of that also in this topic of AI, for example?
No, for sure. So it's definitely not a prompt going to ChatGPT and you get the thing back. No, I think at the very beginning when ChatGPT appears to the world, maybe because when that time nobody knows what it is and then how to apply to it, and then it's just a type of more intelligent bot per se. Right? But as we evolve in our thinking and our long-term planning on how to integrate AI, the ultimate goal we want to do on AI is to create for example, your personal trainer, is to use our watch as your personal trainer for the future, or to use our watch as your personal nutrition helper or trainer to tell you what is more healthy, right? So and all that information, because the good thing is we also have the big data which we gathered from the users out of the so many years of looking at people's health and wellness information. Obviously, those information belongs to users. I'm only allowed to look at the data in aggregate. We
absolutely
have the algorithms and everything to look at base. So what we try to do is to make your tailored personal coach, which can give you the information only tailored to your need and your current situation, rather than a prompter to a ChatGPT. And in order to do that, you probably need to train your own model, which we're doing. And you need to actually get the data and looking at your own data, for example, your sleep data, and in order to tell you whether or not you're ready for the next day. This type of functionality we already have in our latest generation watch, right? So I think that is the future use case of AI, which we have envisaged on how to really help yourself. So for example, another example I can give you is that in our sports watch and the outdoor series in the T-Rex line, right? We can help people. There's a specific functionality in the ZEPP Coach thing, which is proprietary, looking at the different vitals you have on the user, on the watch, generated by the watch, to train the user on how to run from a half a marathon to one full marathon, or to run from 5K to 10K, to break your personal record per se, right? So these type of information is what we see as the user case for AI, and also use our own trend model in order to do our ZEPP GPT rather than the prompter of the current ChatGPT use case.
Got it. Yeah, because I'm asking because I just think this is actually very, very interesting as a reason to own the stock. To be honest, in what this, like, what kind of use cases this might unlock in the future. And I always thought, like, one of the advantages of ZEPP is actually that you have this big client or consumer base in a way that hopefully is also quite loyal to the brand and might even just be expanding in the future. But the fact that you are creating your own devices in a vertically integrated way with the chips and so on should actually put you into a better position than competition, I was hoping. And I noticed that in the past you had some initiatives. For example, when COVID came out, you had, I think, one digital flyer where you pointed out how you could, with the heart rate, see where outbreaks were happening, I think, and maybe just in one country or something. And these type of things, I think, really highlighting some of the capabilities that could have been unlocked. And frankly, I was a little bit confused to see, for example, I noticed that, for example, the Pi Health team seems to be not longer working with ZEPP, and so that was one of the main, I think, kind of cornerstones in the past that I always reflected with this Pi Health indicator in the watches, but also the services that they were building on, for example, towards employers, towards insurances, and so on. These type of topics I thought were coming a little bit less in the last couple of quarters. So I'm wondering, like, what's going on in there? Are they being kind of sacrificed for this operational cost cut here, or is it still part of the overall vision and it's just realigning how you're approaching this in the future, maybe restructuring of the teams? If you can say anything about this, would be quite interesting.
No. I think Powerhouse is still there. That's number one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and we do, and we even evolve based on Powerhouse. So majority of the ex-Powerhouse algorithm and the teams working for us are actually now working in Canada at the same position location for that house algorithm team, right? So basically, we have this internal, but every single functionality has to be involved over time. So basically, Powerhouse is number one, the standalone functionality is still there. Number two, it is becoming part of our bigger health management program algorithm, whereby, for example, Powerhouse used to be just one score to tell you whether or not you moved good enough, right? And now in our latest version watch, the Amazfit Balance and Amazfit Active, it has been evolved into part of the readiness score. So basically, we look at not only your Powerhouse data, but also your activity data, your nutrition intake data, and everything all together, it becoming part of the readiness score when you wake up during the day, looking at different things, whether or not we give you a recommendation on whether or not you're ready for the day. So I think that's, and also the different pilot we're doing between Pi Health and the insurance company, which we're still doing. It's just there's going to be a much longer lead time for any of the cooperations with the insurance company to be converted into a viable business model, right? And for that reason, I think you also saw that Amazon recently cut out its Halo program, which is a band together with the insurance company, that type of thing, right? But I think it's for sure, number one, not true that we dismantled the Pi Health team. Number two is that we're involving the Pi Health capabilities and algorithms much more and incorporate it as part of a bigger offerings, which we are trying to give a better user experience.
Okay, good. So this is on the AI algorithm point and possible features coming maybe in the future that are more service oriented and hopefully could also be additional revenue streams. Who knows? Another potential that we recently haven't seen lots of news lately is in the area of medical tech, which I believe ZEPP Health has also some great initiatives in the past.
Yeah.
For example, some investments like in Hyperfine, Promaxo, which are, I think, smaller medical devices. And then also, in the area of the Aura Clarity, I think, which is hearing devices. So do you have anything that you could update us on? How are these initiatives going? Are they currently paused or still ongoing? Where's the development here, and how can we think of that as a potential for the future of the company?
Now, these are still the core of our strategy, right? And then I can guarantee you all those things you just mentioned are still part of the result you're seeing as ZEPP Health. Yeah? But it's just they're still in the phase of incubating, so it doesn't generate necessarily a big amount of revenue yet. But whenever anything which has the potential to grow big, we'll consider to disclose that information separately in our accounting records so that the investors can see it. But it has always be our overall strategy that we want to be give the users the ability to monitor its vitals in order to prevent them in getting sick. And we want to make those affordable to the users, right? So for example, the MRI thing on Hyperfine, which we're still doing, and then the current, we even get separate fundings from different venture capitals in funding that incubator. But all of this, for it to become a sizable revenue stream, I think from a life cycle perspective, they are still at the incubator phase.
Okay, good. Good to know.
But we do want to grow those things at certain moment in time and have one of those becoming another source of income for the company, because we realize that smartwatch and smart band, yes, it has a big potential now, which I didn't touch on that, because if you look at the revenue of Apple, it's 15 to 16 billion on a yearly basis. Samsung, half of that, 7 to 8 billion. Garmin is, based on the information I have on hand, because they don't disclose that information separately, is around 4 to 5, right? $billion. Yeah? If you look at our current size, it's 0.3, $0.4 billion, right? And we ranked as number 6 in value. Yeah. So, and we do believe, given our product competitiveness on smartwatch itself, there's still a long way to go for us to hit a steady phase, right? So I think that's why you can already see that we're taking shares from Garmin, we're taking shares from Samsung, we're taking shares from Apple, right? If you take just a little bit of all those, you can easily looking at a ceiling of the of our company's revenue on smartwatch and smart band alone to be easily top 1 to 2 billion, and that's still considered as relatively small versus today's 0.3, 0.4 billion sales. Yeah. So, and on top of that, we're going to add the hearing aid, for example, which is actually making good progress in the United States right now. But as I said, it's just the incubator business for now still, and many more, right? Yeah. So I think, yeah, at least the management is quite confident on the future growth and portfolio and the potential of the business which we're selecting here.
Yeah, I'm touching on these topics because I think it's one of the misconceptions when possibly investors don't have lots of due diligence or insight into the plans of ZEPP Health in general. Possibly they just see the company as a,
A
one of
dumb
the many.
hardware company. Yeah.
Exactly. Low margins, the old cheap China model, which I think is totally not the case.
Which is all changing, right? So
Yeah.
that's why we need to do more of these talks with you, Marcel,
Exactly. Yeah,
to
because all
promote
of
the
these
company.
initiatives, as you just pointed out, are ongoing and are certainly, at least there are an optionality or a call option into the future for the company, which is definitely not priced in the stock, given
Right now.
what else is not priced in at all on the fundamentals, even on just the manufacturing part.
Correct.
But I just want to expand the scope of what else is possibly coming in the future.